Hello friends, hello audience. So today I have a few points to make about what's going on in the past few days. Through the past few days on, you know, the political scene and whatnot. So let me tell you something about those Arab Americans. You started hearing about Arab Americans in Michigan. And they somehow surfaced in the media and as a factor in the voting in Michigan. And I've been hearing them talk here and there, even in the Middle East, the same type, right? And they're hell-bent against Biden. They're for Trump, right and left, and so on and so forth. Right. Number one, the vast majority of those, if not all, especially in Michigan, in Dearborn, right? In Dearborn. They're all Shiites. They're all pro-Iran, they're all pro-Hezbollah, they're all pro-Putin, they're all pro-Trump, and so on. Not one, I don't want to make this like an inclusive statement here. I don't want to just like blanket everybody with this statement. They're all pro-Iran regime, pro-Assad regime, all those Syrians, Palestinians, Iraqis, you name it, right? They're all pro-terror regimes. I mean, those people here in Michigan and around Chicago and here and there, they're all pro-Putin, they're all they're operatives of the Syrian regime, of the Iran regime, and of so and so. They basically are, many of them are actually intelligence agents of those regimes. They just sit here, right? Benefit from this country and work against it at the same time. That's them. So when you hear them being against Biden, like Arabs against Biden, real Arabs like myself, you know what? I am probably the only Sunni around in the United States. And I tell you what, I am not for Putin. I am not for his proxy or, I was going to say the word pimp. No, sorry. I am not for his puppet, Trump. And like that's what, they call him how in the Israeli accent, the Arabs, right? Remember Ishaq Shamir and others, the Arabs, right? The Arabs, he means us, he doesn't mean those people who are committing all kind of, if you go like check things out, you will find all kind of intransigences against the law and tax evasion and right, and they have supporter in Israel, right, called Netanyahu. So when you hear that, just know what I'm talking about. There is in fact a movie, I remember a long time ago, and first of all I was offended by it, but now I know much better. About terrorism in Dearborn. A well-known actor, I don't think he's alive anymore. I'm drawing blank on him, honest to goodness. He shows you how Dearborn is like filled with terrorists and so on and so forth in Michigan, and they are about to carry out some kind of terrorist act and so on. He's a well-known actor. I forgot. I just don't recall his name. But those are the Arabs of Americans when they stand up, right? They're going for Putin. They're going for Putin back into the White House. They're all over the place. They're here. They're in. And of course, they are the ones who supported Assad, right? The Assad regime in Syria, the donkey for that matter. They're all willing to do whatever it takes, right? To support those regimes, the Hezbollahs, the Houthis, and the Hezbollah, the Houthis, the Iran regime, and the Putin and the Trump, right? Because he works for them, right? They're all over the place, folks, and they're the ones who also lifted Obama into office. And remember Obama, right? Remember Obama? So these are the Arabs of Michigan and of the United States, for that matter. You got what you got on your hands here with those. They're just operatives of the Iran regime, of Putin, of the Syrian regime, of Hezbollah, of the Houthis, and they sell you all, they cry foul about something that has never happened. They narrate to you some history. You know, I was working in this company before, and there's this supposedly a man from Turkey. He's not a Turk, right? He was but from Turkey, but different like ethnic group. I don't want to say, right? And then I heard from other colleagues, you know, like overheard other colleagues, and he was telling them about stuff that really never happened, that we Muslims are so and so and so and so, right? Give me a second here. That we Muslims so and so, and they believed him. You know, they just, Americans have like what you call, when it comes to trust, you know, they're not they're not like subjected to harsh treatment and occult life and so on. Well, some are, right? But they just believe other humans. When you come cry to them, you know, like, hey, I've been done wrong and so on and so forth, you know, they feel bad for you, right? So they felt bad and they believed him. When I came on board, it seems like he was a little bit worried, right? And no real conversations took place, but they started seeing different things, right, in me. It was weird, man. So what I'm trying to say here is be very careful. Those who are rooting, those Arab Americans who are rooting for Trump, oh, they're operatives of the Iran regime, of the Syrian regime, of Hezbollah, of Houthis, of Putin, and in the West as well, they're operatives of the Algerian regime and now the Libyan regime, and from Egypt as well. These are not Muslims, folks. These are some kind of a cult similar to that of Putin, you know. That's why they support the man. That's why they're with him. They want to wipe out everything that is Muslim on this planet. Now, you may feel the same. I really advise you of looking again. Number one, we're talking something nearly like 4 billion, right? Two, what kind of mentality is that you want to wipe out somebody or a group of people just because who they are, or they have certain religion, or they have a certain name or something of the sort? Don't go that route. This is sick, folks. Okay, so that's point number one. Point number two, I heard this morning, and this was outside of my agenda here, that somebody or a previous prime minister, European prime minister, called the relationship between Trump and Putin creepy. That Trump sees him like a 12 years old meeting with the captain of the team, football team or something of the sort. Folks, that's what he's saying is for Trump. This is not an admiration of someone who's more capable, who's more erudite, who's a leader, who's charismatic. No, man, no, this is not what it is. This is not what it is. You look at Putin and what he's doing and what he is, and you realize this is not the captain of the team. This is the psychotic leader of a certain occult, something similar to Lenin and Stalin and Hitler and whoever it is. This is what it is, folks. This is no longer, this is not an admiration of a, what is Trump's persuasion on him? I think Trump wanted to just go live in, and like somebody else said here on the media, you know, if you love Putin so much, why not move to Russia like Steven Seagal or Snowden or whoever it is? There are people who just move to Russia, right? Because they want to live with the with Putin, right? Just go there, you know. But I think what happened to him is he was ordered to come back here, right? And then convert the United States into a Soviet Union. These people, folks, if you look at Trump and what, you know, Rex Tillerson, you know what Rex Tillerson, the foreign minister or the Secretary of State, called him? He says he's a fucking moron. That's what he called him. And I hear that certain general of the staff called him something similar or even worse, right? Right? So how do you know that the admiration of Trump or his conformance, right, to Putin or subservience to Putin is out of bad understanding or not being able to understand what's going on in that Soviet Union? Yeah, you may see you know, those big statues of Lenin and Stalin and so on, and they may impress you, right? And remember, he wanted to make a he wanted to have a military parade, right? He wanted to have a military parade, but then it was too much, right? So he went to Paris, remember? He went to Paris, you know, and he stood like that and so on. To me, that was the act of the act of a child This guy's, like psychology is something you just cannot understand it. So no, it's not an admiration of the admiration of a captain of the team by a 12 years old boy or something of the sort. No, no, there's some morbid relationship there. Their eyes are clones, right? Their eyes are really clones of frozen embryos of Lenin. These two, Putin and Trump, and maybe others too, right? Or something is, this is the Manchurian candidate, no matter how you see it, right? That's what it is. Something is wrong, folks. So, Manchurian candidate. I think Angelina Jolie also did another movie on Manchurian candidate. Salt, I think, called Salt or something of the sort, where she shows you how they're trained, how that Russian agent comes and makes her kiss that ring, right? And she cries, and then and eventually she wakes up. you can't expect Trump to wake up, man. If you want to wake up, it's what? He's like almost 80 years old. You should have woke up by long time ago, right? So that's what I'm telling you, folks. This is not the admiration of a captain team. That's point number 3. I got reports, reliable, not confirmed, that money has been thrown around in elections, right, here and there, especially to black community. And these are very reliable reports. Confirmed? No, I haven't seen it with my own eyes, but I got the reports that that's what's going on. Some MAGA and non-MAGAs are forwarding or handing over cash and so on to people, just black folks, African American, and perhaps whites as well, right? To go and vote for Trump against Haley, right? Now, I have seen a report on TV a while back. Do you remember when that cop in Minnesota put his knee on the neck of an African American man, black dude? I forgot his name. Trayvon Martin? No, not Trayvon Martin. I forgot his name. And you remember the riot, and then eventually the cop was jailed and right. But there was riots in Minnesota. I heard a report here on one of the Chicago TV stations that there are people that looked like Putins, right, were handing cash to rioters to break into stores and make it convert the riots and the demonstrations into looting, right, drive. I heard that and I saw it on TV myself. I watched it on TV myself, right? So there you go, folks. Now I want to tell you about, I want to go back and visit and reiterate my point about them, Putin and MAGAs are playing this Jewish thing on you, and they're trying to show you that they're Nazis and whatnot, right? Remember Putin telling Tucker Carlson that that Zelensky is Jewish, and I told you he's a crypto-Jew, right? But then again, at the same time, he goes and wants to denazify Ukraine, right? How does that work together, right? Denazify Ukraine, meantime they're Jews. I mean, just think about it. You will be dumb to believe that. If he said what he said, if anyone else other than Putin said something like this in an interview, you will see an uproar here in the United States, in the media and elsewhere, that this guy is anti-Semitic. Nobody ever mentioned, nobody ever on TV or media, even those who profess to be for Biden, said something about that this guy is anti-Semitic, he's talking Jewish in his interview with Tucker Carlson. Do you remember that? And then, what is that right? Okay, let me show you something. Now they're showing you that somebody in one of those MAGAs, like did the Heil Hitler salute, something like that, right? They're trying to insinuate to you, because they think that some white votes or some white voters, they do prefer Nazism or think of it as something German, because they have that lineage or heritage from Germany, right? Okay, I'm going to talk to you guys. I don't think that's the case. I don't think whites are deceived by Nazism anymore. Nazism is a sister movement of communism, and they were both there to crush Europe, killing hundreds of millions, of course. That's their history across that's their behavior, that's their deranged behavior across history, that's their psychotic notions of other humans across history. People have been dying in hundreds of millions for a long, long time by the hands of the same creed, of the same bunch of that, of Putin, of Ayatollah, of Assad, of Netanyahu, of Hitler, of Pinochet, of Castro, of Mao Zedong, of Pol Pot. That's the same. That's that's the track of their history. It's filled with blood and flesh and bone and fire and misery and pandemics and pandemics, right? Okay. So now coming up to that point, they keep telling you they're Nazis, right? But then here, right, they're playing the Nazi thing on you. But then here, we know that Trump is a mirror image of Putin. Well, not mirror image of Putin. It's more like a broken mirror image of Putin, right? Do you remember the Matrix? Broken image of Putin, right? Broken image of Putin, right? And then he's just going to carry out his will here in the United States, you know, his agenda, his will, his United States. You better believe it. And they and they stated that fact. When I talked about them nullifying or terminating the Constitution, when I talked about them years back, right? When I talked about January 6th being a military insurrection and military coup and some of you probably like laughed, right? But now they are declaring that, they are stating that fact. Now there are those who probably are communist happy or Putin happy, golden MAGA if you will, right? They don't know what's going on, right? If Putin had his puppy here in the United States, his surrogate, you know, called Trump here in the United States, and he got quite few. He got like the Lindsey Graham, he got the McConnell, he got he got quite few in the Supreme Court as well, and in the Congress and in the Senate, and here and there and so on, and right. So now the fact is this: if you're celebrating Nazism, right, or you think in Nazism or trying to make people understand Nazism, well, guess what? Look what Putin is doing to white people in Europe. Now what he did in Syria or Chechnya or Africa or Afghanistan or here and there, you may say, oh, these are Muslims. Okay, look what he's doing to Kiev and Rus in Ukraine. Look what he's doing to them, right? I heard from an older gentleman, a Ukrainian gentleman who here in the United States who is a refugee. I ran into him by accident, by a chance, right? He told me there are 14 million Ukrainian refugees in the West, right? And look at him. He raised cities to the ground. That Putin raised cities to the ground in eastern Ukraine. Eastern Ukraine is a wasteland, is a no man's land now. Every time, you know, like he feels like it, he just goes about killing people. Not just there, he fired missiles at civilian areas in Kiev and so on. So if you were a Nazi, right, here, why would you want to like Putin, who's killing your own people, the Kievan Rus, right? Why? Why would you want to be one of his gang, one of his minions, one of his serfs, one of his wheels, one of his hoofs, one of his... Why would you want to be that? If he is into Putin, right, and you know what Putin is doing to you, he wants to denazify Europe. You understand what I'm saying? So they're playing this Nazi thing on you. Oh, don't buy it, folks. Putin, who is the demigod of Trump, is trying to denazify Europe. What do you think he's going to do to you through Trump? He's going to denazify you, even though there's no Nazism. There's no Nazism in Europe anymore, except like some weirdos, right? And some of these are suspicious. They're like intelligence security forces who try to ferret out, or, you know, this is a well-known thing, right? They ferret out people who still have admiration for Nazism and so on. And they're insignificant. They have absolutely nothing to show, right? You got like 100 here, 50 here, and so on. Even in the United States, they're not there. But now Putin's slogan is denazification. And what did you see on his stance when he started rolling into Ukraine? The communist flag, the flag of communism. His tanks were hoisting the flag of communism and the Generation Z for Zion, right? So folks, when you see Nazi salute and so on, be very careful. When you may think that's something good. I mean, just to compare the two and contrast between Putin and what he's doing in Europe and what you think he's going to do here, and you don't think they're related or the same, or he's going to treat your white Americans better than he's treating white Europeans, or even white Russians for that matter, you got something wrong with your brain, man. You just need to you need to really reconsider. Point number 3. Oh, let me tell you something. You may not believe it, but this is true. Trump himself is Jewish, right? Trump himself is Jewish, right? And when you voted for him, some of you knew he was and didn't care, right? All right. So now there's one point, one very important point. There was also always the problem of investors destroying the country, right? Drawing trillions. And you have the voice from within, an insider voice. And that insider voice knows the facts, right? I haven't seen it myself, but I believe it. And that's Nikki Haley. She said, and I quote, that Trump withdrew or recorded $8 trillion on the taxpayer and the future of this country and gave it to the investors and right, to Russia and to Iran and to Houthis and Hezbollah and whatnot, right? He's got the whole group and occult and party out there. Some of those who got the money, probably are those shades of Michigan and of so and so, right, here in the United States. A lot of people are willing to sell anything for $1, and Putin knows that, and the investors know that, and they're catering to them, right? How does it come? They invest $10 and get it back 100,000 or something of the sort. You guys don't understand what the investors. You do understand, but you don't sense the magnitude of the damage those investors are doing to this country and the world, for that matter, right? For the United States to recover, I don't know. I mean, with all the money they stole, there's only one way about it: to go back like 100 years and reverse all that has been taken and take it back and put it back into the country and pay back its debt, right, and so on. United States cannot have a debt, right, because its income is very large, and it makes a lot of money, right, whether it's tax and so on. Heck, the dollar, every currency in the world is pegged against the dollar. So United States cannot have debt, right? But guess what? The debt is in trillions, folks. Now I want to remind you, there's that senator from Wisconsin, or I don't know why I'm forgetting names, right? Now let me look it up. Okay, his name is Paul Ryan. He was a running mate for Mitt Romney. He's on record. Go look at his or watch his clip. I think it's like all over the net, right? I remember him saying, and I quote, that it was $20 trillion. The debt was owed by United States is $20 trillion. He said, and I quote, I think he mentioned something like between 90 to 100 trillion when he was Speaker of the House or something, right? Paul Ryan. I don't think he's in the government anymore. He's in Wisconsin. Neighbor, right? So he said so. Folks, I want to believe him. I don't know. You know what kind of, this money will buy you enough real estate to own the galaxy. You understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? Where do they go with that money? Oh, it turns out like the United States, if it wasn't for the United States, right? It will, right? It wasn't for the United States, the Russian government would collapse, the Iran government would collapse, the Gulf countries would collapse, some African countries' governments would collapse, the Chinese government will collapse, right? Will go back like back to the Stone Age. This is the United States, folks, not just as a market or manufacturing facility or whatever it is, right? But they're paying cash, they're paying cash to prop up these governments, these despotic rulers, these terrorist rulers. That's what the United States is. There is something else. I'm going to continue on this point, but just something just crossed my mind. You know, they tell you that when Trump said that when Trump said that withdrawing, you know, like he wants to withdraw from NATO, and he wants Russia to, you know, attack the hell out of Europe, right? Now, Joby and others say we cannot abandon our commitment. Oh, really? Folks, this is way beyond that. If Russia takes Europe, if China does whatever it wants, right? This is not you abandoning your commitment. That is true, but it's more. You will be weakened. You will become target. Europe is the first line defense against the Soviet Union for the United States. Has always been, right? And still is, right? And Taiwan is for the United States against China and right? If these borders, outposts in the on the borders of the United States have fallen, guess what? The armies now and those despotic leaders and so on, those fucks who run away from rats, right? They're just gonna come here. You may say you have a couple of oceans as fortifications for yourself. You have no idea. They will shrink to zero. Trump will go and empty these oceans, right? Trump will go and empty these oceans or build bridges above them, and they will come, and those enemies of yours will come here. They will at that point, if United States allies are gone, right? They will come here and, like I said, slap and neck your president on the podium. If right? You don't know what neck is? It's a slap on the back of the head, right? The back of the neck, right? It's not just a slap, it also signify contempt, right? So that's that. So when you abandon NATO, when you abandon Taiwan, when you abandon here and there, that's your battlefield, folks. You're withdrawing from your battlefield. And you military folks know what's going to happen then, right? What do you think Trump is going to do? Mao Zedong is going to call him. Lenin and Stalin are going to call him. Ayatollah and Hezbollah and Houthis are going to call him. Do so and so, you dog, and you will do. Right? 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 Right. So this is not the admiration of 12 years old to the captain team. This is far worse than that. This is the admiration of Beria to Stalin. Do you remember Beria? And those henchmen of Stalin? They admired them so much, right? Oh, they had so much admiration for him. What did they do? All right. So back to the investment. I talked about Paul Ryan and I talked about Nikki Haley stating the facts. Look, folks, there was a massive attack on the United States financially, right? And trillions upon trillions are stolen since like for a long time. But it really intensified. During the Clinton. You know, now I don't want to say Clinton is in on it, right? I don't know about that guy, but he was responsible for the investment drive, right, in the .com. Remember the .com bust, right? And people were fat and blah 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 blah. I don't know about him. Sometimes I think he didn't know. He's not an economist. None of your president is, except the older ones, of course. You know, like Thomas Jefferson, the Umayyad from my neck of the woods, right? You wrote your constitutions, motherfuckers. All right. all right. So I'm proud of him. He's an Umayyad, by the way. You know Umayyads, the Caliphate? Right. Okay. So now, that said, it really intensified during that time. Started in the 80s, early 80s, really. I mean, these guys just went on a rampage, right, against the United States taxpayer, and they started stealing trillions. And all those in government, of course, were just like here trillion, here 2, here 5, here 6, here 7, and you got like your super billionaires by now. It's all numbers, of course, but guess what? It influences the United States. So what I'm trying to say is like things began to be bad, right? So we got September 11. I myself believe that the September 11 attack was really to get the United States Americans busy to divert their attention into war against Islam. I mean terrorism, right? those 4 billion terrorists out there, man, right? To get your attention and send you to fight, similar to when they sent you back to fight in Vietnam in World War I and World War II, when they were really here fleecing your country. Remember, what's his name? Mo and Larry and Curly? Fleece him good, right? Or remember that movie, Soylent Green? You know, Soylent Green, that dollar being fleeced by, what's his name? That old Sol Ras, right? Is it Sol Ras or something of the sort? And then he goes to the promised land afterwards, lined up. Okay. So, and Soylent yellow is gold, of course. They give you, and it was supposed to be between 2012 and 2022, I mean 2022. They're going to give you something called crypto, right? I'll tell you a little bit about crypto a little bit. So now they bring, and that happened. But then when that happened, that was not the end of it. Excuse me, I need to build some processes here because they consume CPU cycles and affect the performance of my 4K camera, right? So anyways, right? Here we go. Right? So now, instead of taking a seat back, taking a breather, taking a break from the theft, like thieving magpies, remember, they're proud of it. Remember, a certain rabbi called Rossini, right, has a piece, thieving magpies, like the music puts you in a mood of a hurry, right? Thieving magpies. Why did he call them magpies? Because they dress in black, men in black, mad of a dogs, right? That's right. That I'm telling you the truth here. Rossini is a rabbi, right? And thieving magpies, he's just having fun with his kinfolk, right? Kinfolks, right? About stealing money, right? Usury, stealing from the taxpayer, and so on and so forth. Anyways, now they did like and this is like a state within a state. The state, I call it the Greeding and Frenzington Institute of Economics in New York, right? Greedy-ing, Frenzing-ing, right? And Rosendruhl and and Voracious Man and man, I mean, you thought there's like only 2 pockets for those long black coats, right? Oh, you don't know. They have internal pockets that can hold trillions and billions, right? Right? Anyways. Anyways, so now comes Obama, and they were hoping Obama will fix the situation, blah blah. I mean, I watched some programs on TV that when Obama came into office, and I recall he said, I didn't know this, it was so bad, it was this bad, right? I remember him saying so. And again, instead of waiting, taking a breather, allow the pond to refill again, allow the market and trade and retail to flourish again, and right? Instead, Obama goes morbid on trillions, right? I heard like Trump racked up debt on the taxpayer and gave it to all those minions, the investors, the Putins, the Netanyahus, and whatnot, South Africa and his brother Mandela and whatnot, right? That he racked up more debt than the 30 last president. I said combined, maybe not combined, but like nobody outdone Trump on stealing from the US. He doesn't care, right? But next to him was Obama, right? Next to him was Obama, right? And next to him was Obama. And now Obama comes, and what does he do? He goes on a rampage instead of waiting and fixing, and he and his investors, they go on a rampage, right? Trillions and trillions. But then comes Trump, right? And Trump, oh, it's more like a competition. How many trillions you steal on account of the United States? Ah, not one penny. I personally will not concede one penny. Not one penny, right? Right? To the degree that I thought when Obama ran for the second term, he didn't want to win. He didn't want to become president in the second term. No, right? And that's what it is, right? So now things gotten really very, very bad on account of Trump. And still is, right? Now, Joby, I don't know about Joby. He's still proceeding and moving along with the same, not the same intensity, probably less intensity, but he is, right? Right? So now the economy is on the verge of collapse. So how do they avert that collapse, total collapse, which will drag them down with it, right? Will they just go to all the theft, right? All those thievery, all the theft, all the stolen trillions, and return it back to government, right? To the United States? No, they don't do that, folks. So what they will do is basically do Putinify the United States economy and society and so on. That's it. You won't be able to go and like protest that they're doing so and so to you and your economy and your country. One of which I believe is they're going to try to reinstate is to try to promote and substitute the fossil fuel, which is the dollar, by clean energy, which is the cryptocurrency. And then guess what? The government, similar to Roosevelt, giving control of the currency to a private bank, Jewish bank, right? Now the government will no longer have currency, similar to, remember Mars Attack? You know, like Jack Nicholson talking about the two branches still functioning, like judicial and legislative, right? Out of three, which is the presidency, and that ain't so bad, right? Now it's gonna be United States without dollar, without whatever it is, and that ain't so bad, right? So I think Trump is being insisted on, right? Trump is being insisted on by the investors, regardless what he says, man, because through him, they wanna do this Lenin thing, and you know, go and study history, right? Before Lenin, what happened to the economy of Russia before Lenin and after Lenin. Guess what? I don't need to lecture you on that or remind you of that. You know what happened to Russia after Lenin. Its economy, its ruble, its anything of it, right? It just became nothing, right? But back then, you may think not, but it is true. Back then, there were rich people in Russia. Those investors of that Russian Republic and Soviet, later on becoming Soviet, they were still there and they still enjoyed lots of money and so on and so forth, right? All right, let me take a minute here. Okay, there was a point I just got lost during the process here. I'm losing memory, so I'm not fit to become the president of this country. Well, I'm not eligible because I wasn't born here, like according to maybe I'm a clone too, right? But not of what's his name? That dumbass, not dumbass, that morbid sicko called Lenin, Stalin, or whoever it is. All right, I'll recall that point and I will try to splice it to this video. All right, now remember, if Trump comes around within the year, you're going to be realizing that there will be a purge of this country, and that purge ain't no pretty, folks. That will be the destruction of the white race, and you will be going to perpetual wars, kill and get killed, and poverty, and imagine World War II, or you know, something similar, going on for 50 years or 100 years or whatever it is. He's going to send you to do all these Muslim countries. They don't like those 4 billion Muslims, man. They just want to do away with them, right? So he's going to send you there and here and there and so on and so forth, especially in the Middle East around Israel, right? See, Israel drives the government of United States. Almost, you know, not 100%, but almost, right? Trump is going to send you there to fight for Ayatollah and Hezbollah and Houthis and destroy Sudanese people and well, you don't care, do you, right? But he's gonna do you too, you white America, black America too. Black Americans, I want to blame them. I don't, like shame on them, right? But I don't know, man. These guys are so poor, right? And they use them for the vote. They keep them in perpetual poverty and loss of principles and ethics and ideals and faith and so on. Their neighborhoods is appalling, man. It's a sad situation, right? And they use them. They throw a couple of dollars and they use them for their vote, right? That's all there's to it, right? Do you remember when Trump started throwing during the hurricane response in Puerto Rico? He was like throwing those paper towel rolls of towels, right? Paper towels. He was throwing it to people. He's despising them. Have a nice day. If I recall that point, I'll go ahead and splice it to this video. But no, folks, you white American, just think about it. Here they salute you with Nazis, and there they're trying to denazify Europe. Folks, just look at what he's doing to Ukraine. Just look at it. And he keeps reminding you that Zelensky is nothing in Ukraine. He's just the president. Ukraine is not the Soviet Union. It's not Russia. It's not dictatorship. It can't be, folks, right? Ukraine is Kiev and Rus. They're just like your Scandinavian. Have a nice day. Okay, I'm going to revisit that, or try again, have another go at explaining this economy thing. So right now, with all that morbid theft, and the country has come to if you look at the Senate hearings and so on, or committees questioning the Fed and so on, and one of the questions that keeps coming up in mind was by, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ernest Hollings, maybe, or someone that looks like him, and he asked Bernanke, is this sustainable? Like printing digital money and recording thousands of trillions and trillions and thousands of billions and so on. And he said, Bernanke said it's not sustainable, right? But now instead, the correction for it was just to stop stealing, right? Oh, but guess what? Those Rosen rules. And voracious sons, or ravenous sons of New York, and well, here and there, right? Just wouldn't stop. Do you remember Obama? Every day he'd come up, and the only thing on his mind is how to raise the debt limit. Remember? We have to, he has to raise the debt limit. Remember? Debt limit. Now, when they were raising the debt limit, what do you think they were doing with that, right? It's not going to spend on the nation. It's education system, it's roads, it's infrastructure, it's NASA, it's military, it's medical system. No. The majority of the raised debt limit is going to the investors, right? So the cycle is very simple. It's very complex, maybe, but more complex than that. But it's really, its concept is very simple. You have $1, and you put it in some very private, restricted investment club or firm or IPO or whatever it is. I myself, ways back in the year 2000, I wasn't aware to things, right? And it was, the stock market was rising up, and I was building those .coms, right? In a certain company, I don't want to mention its name. And I called E-Trade, and I said, I want to buy some stuff at what was yahoo.com. He says, you can't do that. I said, why? So you just can't, right? You know, they refused to send me Yahoo stock, and that was rising, what, like, it became like $300, $400 the share, right? They refused to send me that. I discovered back then, this is private. So when you are born like a brother of, you know, Putin, Kissinger, Ayatollah, then you're one of the private clubs. So yeah, you put into that investment club with $1, and now Obama and whoever it is, right? And before him, Bush and so on and so forth, they pull trillions on account of the taxpayer, and your dollar turns into like 100,000 or whatever it is, right? But if you're not one of that club, part of that club, the Khazar club, you don't get anything, right? You're not even allowed. So as you can see, I myself have witnessed that in the past. Oh well, these were bad days. I wish I never did. It's been 23 years, but guess what? Anyways, so now it has arrived at a point where it is no longer sustainable. I believe that the CO VID-19 was supposed to do away with all that, because now the ship is about to sink. That mega carrier is about to sink, right? Or the sky is going to fall, or the building is going to crash. Why? Because people have just been deboning that. Okay, America's economy, I likened it a while back to a cow that is literally skin and bone, can't stand on its own legs, and the frenzy is ever intensifying, right? And instead of these guys trying to fix it or return the stolen trillions, right? Many trillions, according to Paul Ryan's there. Like when he was still in the House, I think 96 or 95 trillion or something of the sort. And now it's probably 200 or whatever, right? Hey, hell, Trump put 8 on top of that, right? It's numbers. I will never I personally, out of my own earnings, whether I know my earnings or I don't know them, and I will never concede not $1. Not $1. Right? And these investors, they don't even pay taxes, right? So now we're coming up on remember Al Gore? The guy is daft, right? Guy is daft or deaf, you know, very quick thinker. And the barrel over the Niagara Falls, I still remember they put the economy in a barrel, and now, well, the financial system of the world, right, is just about to fall in the Niagara Falls. I don't think we'll survive. But these guys have another idea. What they do is really basically stop the Niagara Falls and not get out of the barrel, or try to, you know, like at least slow down, you know, slow the F down of this morbid theft of people. Right? I think Jim Cramer, that's Creamer, Cramer, called it the biggest transfer of wealth in history. Transfer of wealth of what? Right? You know, stealing from the righteous people and the majority of people, punitive, you know, I don't know. I mean, well, you get the story. So how they will fix it, you know? So Trump is being supported by investors, right? No matter what he says, no matter how he slips, no matter, you know, the guy is a wreck, you know, like he's useless and wreck, right? He's under the foot of Stalin or Lenin, under the hoof of Putin, right? You know, he's like, he has him by like a dog, right? You know, on a leash. That's what they're gonna do through him. It is not just dictatorship, folks. They're going to terminate the economy, and that's it, as you know it. That's the plan for the investors. That's whom they're supporting him. That's probably whom paying the black voter under table, right? Let me explain to you about cryptocurrency. You may think it is not something very dangerous. Like I said, they're going to take it out of the government control, that what they call fossil fuel dollar, right? And then it's going to become, say, it won't. But they're trying to say it'll be, or they're bucking on cryptocurrencies, right? What you will have is a group of people, right, that owns different cryptocurrencies, right? right? And those group control certain group, and those each individual controls, and it is like small club, right? Controls a bigger part of of the population. So you're gonna have pods or sections of the population. This guy belongs to this cryptocurrency. These people belong cryptocurrency to this particular cryptocurrency and deal with it. And what's wrong with cryptocurrency? Number one, nobody understands who owns it and who does it and who controls it and so on. But the control is really in Tel Aviv, right? Or it's Zion's around, extensions and tentacles in Zion. Here and there, United States, Russia, China, Iran, Hezbollah, the Assad regime, and, right? That cryptocurrency is not like the dollar. I explained this before. A dollar, you can take a dollar, right? You can take this dollar, right? It has a serial number. You can go to Zimbabwe, for that matter. Zimbabwe. Remember Snoop Dogg? Zimbabwe, shit. Or you can go to Hong Kong, or you can go to Russia, or you can go anywhere. You just give it. They verify it is clear, right? It's printed by the US government. And they take it, right? They don't ask you who you are. They don't need an ID. It's not associated with whatever name. Well, up to a degree, because now if they give you large amount of money, they scan the serial numbers of the hundreds of, bills and so on, right? And so on and so on, right? But with cryptocurrency, you're known. Whoever owns that cryptocurrency, it's not anonymous as you're being told. You're known. Who are you? Who you are. So you come, you have, say, earned whatever cryptocurrency, right, of your work or business or whatever it is. You wake up next day in the morning, and on the stock market, what happens? That cryptocurrency is intentionally crashed, and you're penniless, right? They can control it on per individual level, per certificate level, per unit level, per sub-unit level, right? They're the fate that Morpheus talked about and Neo talked about, right? Because he doesn't believe in fate. This is fate, folks. Somebody somewhere in Tel Aviv or somewhere is gonna control your money and your life and everything else. They make you homeless in a day or two. Do you remember in 1929, the stock market, intentional stock market crash, right? Some people were millionaires and woke up with, basically they started selling their cars for food, right? You guys know this stuff, right? So, and that world, I can tell you, it has many problems and won't survive, right? But what happens is, if it doesn't work, then these guys begin to eliminate the Constitution. I think COVID-19 was supposed to start that. That process of defleshing, deboning the world from its money, from its currency, from its population, and so on. Somehow it didn't work. I think Putin, if he goes back into the White House, and I can tell you, I don't believe he is going back to the White House. I have that feeling, very strong feeling. It's becoming precise day by day, right? That's what he will do to you, right? That's what he will do to you, right? Now I'm going to go back to those Arab Americans, right? They call themselves Arab Americans in Michigan and here and there. These guys are not Arabs, folks. They come from Arab countries, but they're not Arabs, the majority of them. And their charities and all that they collect and so on is in service of Iran's regime, of Syria's regime, of Hezbollah, of Putin, and you notice them. I want to remind you of something. You're talking about Gaza, right? There are two types of Gazans, right? There's the minority that belongs, and the founders of Hamas, right? They belong to Israel, they belong to Iran, his regime, they belong to Putin, they belong to Assad, they belong to Rabbi Trump, right? Oh, you don't believe it, huh? He is, right? Right? Right. And there's the vast majority that are Sunnis, who's like minding their own business, living their daily lives, and they just want to get by, man. I mean, it's not like they care about wars and stuff like that. But Israel doesn't like them. So they do this October 7, right? October 7 reminds you of October 6, right? October 7, notice. They go out and attack Israel, supposedly. Those like the riding rickshaws, right? Right? Not just that, its leaders are released from Israeli jails, supposedly. Oh man, those Yassins and Sinwars and Hani and Mishal, and oh man, oh man, oh man, right? We know who they are now, right? Right. But the vast majority of them, right, of Gazans, they don't care about politics, they don't care about anything. You know, they fast Ramadan, they go to mosque, and they sit down and talk at the end of the day. They go sit down out on the street, they buy, they sell. They're just no different from your typical political-less American or political-less or religious-less, probably South American. And these guys have not even been part of politics in their history, right? Right. But now, that supposedly 5% of the Gazans, these are the Hamas leaders, right, leadership, you know, that belongs to Iran and Israel and here and there, right? I still remember when the September 11 happened, they were dancing. It was them, right? Not the Sunnis. Sunnis were like dumbfounded and they were scared, you know, what the heck is going on, right? Because they know they're going to be on the receiving end, even though they have absolutely nothing to do with it, right? They were dancing. I remember them, those Hamas leaders, the ones that sent whole fleets, right, of Palestinians, whole brigades and divisions of Palestinians, right, of their own type, the one that lives here in the United States, to kill innocent Sunnis in America, in Syria, right, on behalf of the Syrian regime and Iran's regime and Iraq's regime and so on. That's what they do. There are hundreds of thousands of them there. Why don't they come back and protect their country, right? Or say Gaza from the attack of Israel. Why don't they do that, right? Just think about it, right? Just think about it. So folks, those Arab Americans are collecting money and sending it to the regime of Syria, their charities and so on. Not just them, I mean, there are many charities that call themselves charities. They just take the money and pocket it. That's all there is to it. And these guys just send it to the regime in Syria. They send it to Iran and Hezbollah and here and there. Do you remember the Iran-Contra affair by Ronald Reagan? They were helping Iran, as well as Syria's regime, as well as Libya's regime, as well as those Arab rulers and so on. They were helping Iran against Iraq. Remember the Iran-Contra affair by Reagan, when he was like dealing drugs in South America, right? He was dealing drugs in South America, right? Using the CIA and so on in order to provide money and weapons to Iran. Do you remember that, Ronald Reagan? Do you remember that? Oh, you forgot about it, right? This is far worse than the Watergate deep throat and whatever it is. What did they do? Just spy on like next door neighbor or something of the sort to get some information. That guy was supporting, allowing drug dealing in, you know, Iran-Contra, Nicaragua, and so on and so forth. Drug dealings just to get the money and send it to Iran. That guy, Ronald Reagan. This book, folks, I read quite a few books in my past and I know things, right? I have yet to see any sickly book as this French Rabbi Baudrillard. Have a nice day. And remember, I have no doubt that Obama, Rabbi Obama, whose mother's name is Shemet, and whose father Hussein is a falasha from Kenya, right? Didn't want to run for the next or the second term. He didn't want to even be a president on his second term. Have a nice day.